Here at the Emo Social Club, we are your home for music, news, and interviews. And now, new reviews. A lot of U's going on here. We are going to take a look at the new State Champs record. We have just recently become acquainted with State Champs. We are now fans of State Champs, for better or worse. We're in the pocket of Big State and Big Champ. Lizzie, tell us a bit more about this new self-titled State Champs record.
This State Champs record is essentially them kind of prescribing to the if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of musical style. I do definitely feel that for this album, it is very still summery. It's easy to listen to. If you were to see them in concert and you hadn't listened to anything by State Champs or the album, a lot of this is like fun bubblegum poppy punk. So you could hear the chorus the first time and kind of pick up on it and have a really good experience.
That's very true.
Yeah.
I already caught myself singing along to songs that I just heard for the second time, right?
Exactly. And all of these songs, except for two of them, are at like right at the 3-minute mark. Nothing is super long.
Love it.
But I think because it's condensed like that, it makes it more attainable to the normal everyday goer. I will say, I think there's some songs on here that are kind of buried that are probably their more top picks than the ones they actually have front loaded.
The Constant, the opening track, it is really good pop punk. It is a really straightforward for the fans pop punk stuff. I've been very curious about these bands like State Champs, The Wonder Years, bands that have been around in this scene for a long time. And we know a lot of bands that have been influenced by those bands, but how do these bands that have had this legacy for so long, how are they keeping it going? What are they changing? How are they advancing in their field? So I thought The Constant was a little bit straightforward, a bit down the line, but there's some stuff on here that like I thought really took different initiatives and like really does kind of take the formula and adjust it like slightly. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff that like still fits the formula. You're not going to not have a pop punk State Champs record.
Yeah.
But I will say there's a lot on this that reminded me of a lot of modern country.
Yes.
There's a lot of like, I think a lot of rock writers have gotten into country recently. So we have friends that live in Nashville and these bands, and they're like really just rock, emo, pop punk artists that are now writing for all these new country artists. And I think that's also coming back into a band like State Champs, where I think Derek is doing very country sort of like melody lines and even lyric parts. There's one about like drinking cheap wine or shitty wine or something like that. And I'm like, that's just a country lyric. In this way, that stuff really appeals more to me. Like I don't mind it as much as I would hate it maybe in like a country song.
Right. I think with Light Blue, that's where I said this is kind of like a country song, especially when Derek Discano's doing this kind of Post Malone like throat rattle.
Yeah.
That is where I say this is a poppy punk country song, which they do exist out there. We've seen a lot of acts do that recently.
Genre's dead.
This is a little bit more low key. So unless you're somebody who has been experimenting with different like genres, especially in country music, I think you would say, oh, this is just a fun poppy punk song instead. But that's where I really see it. And I think at that point, because it's a 4th song, this is where I start to see their lyrics start to evolve a little bit more. And it's not just really basic, simple, straightforward lyricism, which again is fine. Everybody likes that type of pop punk.
Yeah,
but this is where this gets elevated a little bit more and where I think that they buried so much more of. They're really, honestly, they're probably more standout tracks in my personal opinion.
I hear you on that, but Clueless.
I do really like Clueless.
Immediately was like, this is such a like teenage high school song. And I really liked it.
This is a song. That was a song because I heard it and I said, this reminds me of a song that would be in like a Disney Channel original movie.
Yes, exactly.
And it was just so fun. I really like
good.
that. That is a song that I would definitely play driving around in my car, top down. Let's like party. Let's be silly. Let's be goofy.
100%.
That was one that did stand out to me. Oh yeah, I'm just having a good time.
There's a lot of that old school pop punk vibe and ethos, a lot of feelings of like newfound glory, like immaturity to it. There are moments of maturity on this. And I think the balance, I think it's really a balance of like the talent that is in this band. Derek's vocals are obviously like a standout piece of this band. I do think that the rhythm section, the drums and the bass are also really good. But obviously when you hear this band, Derek's vocals are the thing that like can keep you coming back because he is a very, very strong vocalist. So I think the lyrics are what really matters when you have somebody who's singing these really, really cool melody lines and you're coming back for that piece. If the lyrics don't also kind of work for you, it obviously won't stand. But I think that the changes and the differences in like a more mature song like Light Blue versus a more immature song like Clueless, I'm like, good, let's get both. Let's have all of it here so that there's something for every audience to grab onto, something for someone like me who's like, I don't want to hear the same song 10 times. As I usually do when we listen to a pop punk record.
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
And I did not hear the same song 10 times on here.
No, I think especially once we get down to the second to the last track, which you and I both agree is probably the strongest song of this album, Save Face Story.
Great song.
They play around with adding in like rapping and this new metal breakdown, and they showcase that they're able to do it and they can do it very well.
They were pulling from Turnstile there. They're pulling from more of like that hardcore scene that has gone more into the poppy realm that has been more widely accepted. I really appreciate Save Face Story. I hope to hear more experimentation and trying new things like that from a band like State Champs, who I think has the absolute chops to do whatever they want. I think they have the fans that will stick with them to do whatever they want. So I hope to hear more of that kind of thing in the future. That seems to me to be the piece of this record that showcases, okay, we can do whatever we want, and we're going to do more of that in the future if you happen to like this. So we got to pump the numbers for Save Face Story up on the streaming services.
I definitely think overall this is a State Champs album that you know what you're going to get going into it. It's not reinventing the wheel, but it is showing the wide range of musicality that they are able to cover. But they do also know at the end of the day that they are a pop punk band. They're fun, basically like skater, poppy rock band. And I think that's more than okay. And that's what a lot of audiences who do enjoy State Champs want to go and listen to. And I would actually be hard pressed to say that I think if Light Blue were to be circulated later in 2025, closer to the summer, that could be a really fun radio type of poppy single.
Lizzie, what would you rate this out of 10?
I think I would go with 7 out of 10. It's not anything that is brand new, but I think that you want something to get you in a mood to get ready to party and go out with the homies. You know what you're going to expect, and that's not a bad thing. I think they do this type of style very well and throughout it. And also, I think, honestly, trying to move up that ladder into that Newfound Glory range as well.
Yeah, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. I did really like this a lot. I think there are some songs that I'm definitely going to stick with that, you know, are probably going to go into their live catalog and be played at their shows. There are obviously a few records in now, so they have some back catalog they can play at these shows. So if these sorts of songs are going to make it on there, I definitely think there's some very strong ones that will. I definitely would come back to some of the songs on this for sure. That was our review of State Champs' new record, self-titled State Champs. What did you think? Let us know in the comments. Let us know if you want to see more reviews of new music that just came out. Let us know if you just want us to talk nicely about bands that we just found out that we like more often. But yeah, State Champs, self-titled. We'll see you at the show.